Hey everyone, you're listening to Fantasy Uptick. I'm Jeremiah Blue, and today with me is King Smith, Campbell. We're going to be doing a 12-person Yahoo mock draft. I'll be drafting at the 1 spot. Campbell's going to be dropping at the 4 spot, and King's going to be drafting at the 9 spot. We're going to be running through our picks as we go. So let's get into it. All right, so with me again, like I said, is Sean Campbell. How you doing today, Sean?
I'm doing great, Blue. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, and King Smith, how you doing, buddy? This is the first time you're on this year, huh?
Hey, yeah, man, it is, brother. Thanks for inviting me, man. Glad to be here.
All right. So you guys got some pretty big egos. We're going to see who wins this draft. Let us know in the comments after the end of the draft. Let us know what you guys think. Who you think won this draft? I get advantage of starting off with Christian McCaffrey with my first pick. I was going to go for 2, but we kind of wanted to spread it out a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go quick. I'm just going to draft Christian McCaffrey because he's the consensus number 1 this year. He's phenomenal. First of all, last year he was the number 1 really asset to have in fantasy, and his playoff schedule down the stretch is pretty good. And this year he gets a better quarterback. I think the receivers are going to be better due to that, so he's going to have more room to operate. I just think Christian McCaffrey is a clear, clean number 1. I doubt anybody has an argument with that, correct?
Correct.
So, Sean, what are you looking at here? You're coming up at number 4, at the 4th pick overall. Zeke should be gone.
Yeah, he just left. So it's like the number 1 wide receiver or the number 3 or 4 running back. I'm going to go ahead and draft Alvin Kamara. I think he was banged up a little more last year than people knew. So I got faith.
Yeah, and the Saints are always one of those offenses that is, they're going to score points. Alvin Kamara is the best guy. I really like Derrick Henry around that spot just because I'm banking on him not getting hurt. I know a lot of people will put Derrick Henry and go, he's going to get hurt. He doesn't catch the ball enough, but he's just a monster and he scores a lot of touchdowns. And they're going to rely on him in the red zone. And I think that's going to be the identity of Tennessee. Who are you looking for here at number 9, King?
Who I'm looking for at number 9? I always like to try to draft my RB1 in the first round, and I'm looking towards Joe Mixon, and I really like what I saw from him last year and where I think he can go. And, of course, he just comes off the board. So that leaves me with looking at Chubb, Aaron Jones, and Kenyan Drake out of Arizona. Oh, man, see, this is tough. I think I like what Cleveland's kid's going to be doing with Chubb, so I'm going to take Chubb here.
Yeah, I like that. They got the offense coordinator last year from Minnesota, and they were a very run-heavy team, and I think that's what he's going to be doing there. The offensive line has improved. I think they're going to feed Nick Chubb the ball on the ground, and I think there's going to be enough there for both Chubb and Hunt to be good. I did a whole video comparing Chubb and Mixon to each other earlier in the offseason. They were going literally like 1 pick away from each other, just kind of the way they just did right now. So I was just kind of giving them my thoughts on who should go first. Like this draft went, I thought that Joe Mixon should go first, which is what happened. So who are you looking for on the turn here? You're up in 6 picks.
Speed, man. If I could get Tyreek Hill coming back around, that's my guy.
Yeah, he's got that ability to put up those points. And Tyreek Hill, there goes Tyreek Hill. So what are your thoughts? Do you like to get running back receiver? Or because I know I've heard Campbell say before, if we can go running back, that's the ideal way to go. But a running back has to fall to you to go with that strategy.
So I have a preference of running back, or I could go running back, wide receiver 1, or I'll do running back. And if there's an elite tight end still available, I'll take a tight end and win it. And I see Campbell saying, I like it.
All right, while he's thinking, Campbell, talk to us about going tight end. Why are you so much against that?
I'm so much against tight end because I just don't see the second-round value. I'd much rather have a Julio Jones or a Chris Godwin or Miles Sanders or even a Kenny Golladay right there instead of a tight end.
Yeah, and I think the 2 tight ends that are going at the top are tough because I like them both, but everybody's got to go. Like you said, Julio Jones has got to be gone. I'm not going to end up with too many elite tight ends unless I get them in like the end of the second. So in this draft, if everybody that I like is gone, I could definitely end up with a tight end because I'm drafting at the end of the second round, the beginning of the third round. But really, that's the only place I feel comfortable drafting tight ends because there's so many good receivers, that elite level receivers. There's so many good running backs. And this year, I'm valuing the quarterbacks, the two elite quarterbacks over the two elite tight ends, just because I think there's a bigger gap between them and the rest of the pack. So say there's a bigger gap between Mahomes and Lamar Jackson for me than there is, and the third quarterback, which for me is Russell Wilson, than there is for Kittle and Kelsey and Zach Ertz, if that makes sense. So for me, there's a bigger drop-off with quarterbacks.
So like right now, I'm having to make a choice between Kenyan Drake and Chris Godwin. I'm going to go Drake because I just really want to shore up that running back.
I just put him in my queue, and I forgot you guys can see what I'm doing. Not that you made that decision just to spite me, but I just realized I can't be putting players in my queue because you guys can see my screen.
Actually, I can't see your screen because I'm not looking at the Zoom right now.
Oh, perfect. So King's not going to snipe me because he's drafting on the other end. So this worked out perfect for me. I'm definitely going to take a quarterback here. If I got the choice, and we're not doing Dynasty, and it's not a 6-point per passing touchdown, I'm leading Lamar Jackson in redrafts just because of the legs. But if it's the deeper the league gets, this is just a normal 12-team league, but the deeper the league gets, the more I move up to Patrick Mahomes because there's obviously a bigger risk for Lamar Jackson getting injured this year as opposed to Mahomes. I just think it's very safe that when Lamar Jackson plays, you're going to want to start him in your drafts and in your leagues, and he's going to have such an advantage over the other quarterback, anyone not named Mahomes, essentially. I do like Kenny Galladay. I want to go look at the running backs real quick because I don't know who's left on the board. Hot garbage is left on the board. Wide receivers. So this is a situation where I am not going to go running back. I'm actually going to go receiver here, and I do like Kenny Galladay. Oh, did I just auto pick? I had Kenny Galladay highlighted, so I'm good. Yeah, so I ended up waiting too long on auto pick there, but I did want Kenny Galladay. The other guy I was thinking go ahead.
I'm really hoping for Mike Evans right here. This is the guy I'm looking for.
See, Mike Evans scares me because I don't know what the way Tom Brady's arm is. Like, he's a deep ball guy. If Brady can, not like a deep ball like Godwin is, but I just don't see Mike Evans being a monster out there with the way that Jameis Winston would force the ball to him.
This is my favorite pick. I'm going to pick it, smile on my face. I love it.
Yeah.
He is the wide receiver Tom Brady loves. He's a big guy. He's going to go up and win all those battles. And Brady can throw the ball on his back shoulder or he can high point it anytime he wants to, and especially in the red zone. He's like a mini Gronk on the wide receiver side.
Well, so here's the problem is that there's an actual Gronk on the team. So
that Gronk has been playing WWE or whatever, and that offense is not designed around a tight end anyway.
I don't hate the pick. Mike Evans, you took him in the third round. I've seen him go in the second quite frequently. So I'm saying I'm not in love with Mike Evans for the same reason that King was saying. I don't think it's a problem that Brady can't make Mike Evans good. I think he's really going to lead on Godwin. And then I really think he always incorporates his running backs and he loves his tight ends. And at the end of the day, there's only one football to go around. I just don't think Mike Evans has the kind of year that he's had in the past with Jameis, who really loves to chunk it deep, right? The guy that I was looking at there, and I'm going to go ahead and say it because he's not making it back to me, was DJ Moore. And I know me and Campbell disagreed on our last one of these that we did, or last little mock draft that we did. But DJ Moore was so good down the stretch. He had he finished as a top 15 receiver, and he only played 15 games and scored 4 touchdowns. So, like, again, if that offense just improves a bit, which they're going to be in high-scoring offense games constantly because they're in a really, really tough division. So I really like DJ Moore this year. I was actually considering taking – because DJ Moore, I got him one slot back behind Kenny Galladay. So I was actually debating it there just to have this conversation, but I figured let me stick to my board. I do have Kenny Galladay over him. In PPR leagues, I might actually lean DJ Moore because I think he'll have more receptions this year. So what are your thoughts here coming up to your pick, King?
I want to go ahead and pick up, man, my wide receiver. If you sort it by rank, they have Chark at the top, but I'm going with Juju.
So what you did, so if you're looking at my screen here, you sorted off by rank based off projections. It's Chark at the top. Based on expert picks, it would have been, Cooper Kupp still on the board? So
yeah, I was surprised to see that.
Yeah, and then if you go ADP, it's Cooper Kupp. So I like to leave it on ADP personally, just because that's so I know like who's about to go, who's not going to make it back to me. But I did like the Juju pick there. I mean, he had 2 great years with Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger wasn't there last year. He got hurt, and now Juju is basically going to – I think I trust the first 2 seasons more than I trust this last season that he had is basically the way I see it.
Yeah. And I mean, Juju's expert rank was 28, and his ADP was 33. I got him at I forget 40-something, 30.
So you got value. So. Who'd you end up drafting, Campbell? While I'm looking through who I'm going to pick.
I drafted Cooper Kupp. I love Cooper Kupp. He's a great pickup, especially at this point in the 4th round. I'm like, my goodness, these wide receivers fall to me, and they definitely. I feel like they should have been drafted higher.
Yeah.
I was gonna go Mark Ingram until Cooper Kupp fell, though.
Okay, so I'm 1 pick away. I basically passed on running back in the 2nd round, which I do a lot. But here in the 4th and 5th, I want 2 guys because I know they're going to be playing that 2nd role. And I typically, if I can, like to have a running back in my flex. Plus, the other thing that people don't realize about or don't take into account when they're dealing with running backs is the draft value really never – or their trade value really stays high because somebody's going to be hurting at running back, right? I will tell you, I like Raheem Mostert. Right. I like what he did at the end of the year last year. I think he is significantly better than Coleman. At least he looked that way last year. What's going on here? Okay. Whew. I was like, I can't auto pick again. This is where I'm stuck because I like Mark Ingram, but I also like Dobbins, right? So I'm stuck here. I've never ever been sold on David Johnson, but that is a pretty good offense. I'm actually going to go Mark Ingram here. I could be wrong. I've never liked David Johnson. If you look just historically, his yards per carry, he's never been a really good running back. He's been more of a good pass catcher out of the backfield, right? So the running backs don't really get used that way, and Duke Johnson already kind of has that role there. So I'm not avoiding David Johnson, but in this scenario, I think it's still going to be a bit of a dual running back situation, and in that case, I'm going to take the better running back on the better offense, which is Mark Ingram in that scenario. So, Sean, you're coming up to the clock. What are you looking at right here?
Yeah, this is a great wide receiver core, but for as much as you said you didn't like David Johnson, I do love him in this spot in the draft. I think there's a lot of value. I can throw him in my flex and start him during bye weeks and see what happens. So, and since I've already got 2 really elite wide receivers, I'm just going to go ahead and grab them.
Okay, I like it. Who are you hoping for comes to you now that Sean's already draft, King?
I like to look for something consistent at the flex. So I'm looking at running backs. I don't know enough about Cam Akers. I'll confess I haven't really looked into his profile yet. And the next 3 from Geist just came off the board. This is tough, man. This is tough. Sonny Michel sitting there, Damian Williams in that high-powered Kansas City offense.
Michelle's got that injury.
Yeah.
And he plays for the Patriots, and who knows how good he's going to be this year. I don't expect much out of them.
I actually liked him because I think that there are quarterbacks that lean on their running backs a little bit more in the passing game. I think Brady's one of those guys. And so I think that Sony Michel might actually it might turn into an actual prototypical turn around, hand the ball off type of running back that they're going to lean on because we don't know how the offense is going to run now. we know that it used to be that Sony Michel wasn't getting a big role based off the fact that he liked to play with White because White fit his style so well, you know? So I think White takes a step back.
Yeah, I just don't know how well he can – yeah, I was just going to say I don't know how well Sonny Michel can run against a stacked box. And I think New England's going to see that a lot until they prove they have a quarterback.
And that is true. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I don't get me wrong. This is why we take running backs early. This is why I want to have 3 running backs coming out of essentially the 6th round because of how stacked these boxes are going to look. I want nothing to do with that stuff.
Kyler Murray just came off.
So yeah, now you're getting the quarterbacks. This is what the 6th round's about to start. This is basically where in most of my mock drafts you'll see Dak, Kyler Murray, those guys. So if you want to wait for those guys, typically you can wait depending on where you draft in the 5th round and get a quarterback. And I know, Campbell, that's why you don't take quarterbacks in the 2nd or 3rd round because you can just wait till the 5th and get one of those quarterbacks that you really like.
Absolutely. Deshaun Watson right here. I'm hoping Deshaun Watson falls to me. If not, yeah, we'll see what happens.
So check this out. I know, King, you can see my screen there, but they got the new present the draft portion. I don't know if this is new, but I've never seen this before. So it breaks it down a lot more smoothly so you can see exactly what everybody around you is doing. So if we take a look at
cool.
Yeah, A1, that's Smitty. You went Nick Chubb, Travis Kelce, Delvin Singletary, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then Cam Akers. I love the Cam Akers pick, by the way. You're on the clock, so I'll let you think. We got Sean over here who's got Alvin Kamara, Kenyan Drake, and David Johnson at running back, which I like. That's a great combination of running backs. And then you got Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp. I mean, you're set at running back, wide receiver. Not like – obviously you're going to draft more, but like that's a solid – you feel good about those guys every week. And then we come over here to me. I have not drafted I have drafted a receiver. So I got Christian McCaffrey, which obviously he's going to be the first one. He should be the first one off the board. If anybody's got a case for anybody else, let me know in the comments because I can't see a case for anybody outside of Christian McCaffrey going first overall. Then you got Lamar Jackson, which, again, I gave you my 2 cents. I just feel like there's a big gap between him and, like, the 3rd quarterback in these drafts. Kenny Galladay, who really had a monster year last year, and that was without Stafford for a lot of the season. I just think he's going to have he should have a better year this year, and he was one of the best receivers in the league last season. So he has the potential to be that number 1 receiver in the NFL. So I'm not saying he is going to be that number 1 receiver. Obviously, Michael Thomas has got a pretty good stranglehold on that, but he has that potential. So I love getting him where I got him. And then you got Mostert, Ingram, who I can rotate in at running back or have one at the flex, whatever I feel like doing that particular week. So Sean's on the clock.
So my quarterback did not fall to me. The A.J. Green did. And even though I'm set at wide receiver, I love A.J. Green. I can't pass on him, so I'm just going to go ahead and take him.
Son of a – Stop watching my shows.
I can't.
All right. So he took A.J. Green. Oh, no, I like Terry McLaurin, but I wanted to get I was hoping A.J. Green and McLaurin would fall here, and then I could really be like set at my wide receiver spot. Oh no, there he is. Woohoo! So this is literally my favorite pick in the draft, and I always reach for him if I have to because I love Evan Ingram this year. This is a big reason why I don't value tight ends the same way I value. Oh God! Let me hold that thought while I think about who I'm going to draft here. It's got to be pretty easily. It's got to be Jarvis Landry. I'm afraid that they're going to be a really run-heavy team, but he was actually the number 1 receiver in Cleveland last year, was Jarvis Landry, which let me go back to Evan Ingram because I really want to talk about Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram it could very well lead that team in receiving yards this year, the Giants, as a tight end. And I'm getting him essentially the 7th round in Yahoo drafts. He's going higher in some other drafts. So if you find those guys that in one website they're going super low, and then in another website they're going like way higher, Evan Ingram is that guy in Yahoo. So I love Evan Ingram in all leagues. I have him as my number 6 tight end, and getting him here at this spot it feels good.
And I just went ahead and hit the button on Josh Allen. he does a lot with his legs. He runs in for a lot of touchdowns. He's one of the best running backs on that team, actually. So he's a really, really good guy to pick up right there.
Yeah,
I like Josh Allen, man. He's not a sexy name at quarterback, but, man, he puts points up, man, fantasy-wise.
and yeah, you got to take that into account. A lot of times people equate fantasy quarterback to NFL talent quarterback. And I mean, we see it every year. Josh Allen is not in the same breath as any of the quarterbacks that got really taken off at this point, like off the board at this point. But since he runs so much, he's more valuable for fantasy purposes. Like if you remember, like when Tim Tebow was playing quarterback, all he did was run, and he was one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy football that year, just not in real life. We all knew. Granted, I'm talking to a Denver Bronco fan, so he's going to have some arguments with that. But
they won the division.
Yeah, they did.
And they won the playoffs against the Steelers. So just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been that bad.
But, I mean,
look. They're running a triple option.
Yeah, look at Lamar Jackson. I mean, really, Lamar Jackson is a beast, first of all. But, like, his rushing stats is what puts him over Mahomes. I doubt many people would argue, just NFL fans, that Mahomes a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. But when you talk about fantasy purposes, when you got a guy rushing for as many yards, 1,000 yards a season, and throwing the ball, and we're not even talking about could Lamar Jackson improve from a passing standpoint. Like that's a tough guy to pass up in fantasy circles. So Campbell, before you come up here, let's while King's coming up next, tell me about your team and how you feel right now.
I'm actually really excited about this team. This is why I wait for quarterback, because I'm very, very happy starting Josh Allen every week that he's not on a bye. I mean, who in the AFC East is really going to scare you with their defense? Love my wide receivers, love my running backs. I do need a tight end at some point, but I got a plan for tight end. So, and it does involve drafting some hot garbage, but we'll find out.
Yeah, you're gonna.
The dumpster fire gets hot every now and then.
And that's, you bring up a good point, because I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about. Don't you worry, I'm not going to snipe him from you, because I don't want anything to do with the second tight end once I get Evan Ingram, right? But what the guy that you're talking about, when you find these guys out there, sleepers that you just are a full-on believer in, like for me, I've been saying it a lot. I'm a big believer in Jamison Crowder this year, right? You guys both watch my show, so that's not a secret that if he's there late, I'm going to draft him. Because of that, I will wait on receiver, because I have an ace in the hole, essentially, that I don't mind reaching for in the 10th round if I don't or 9th round if I don't have a receiver yet. You know what I mean? That I like, that I feel comfortable starting. Just like you have a tight end that you're comfortable waiting till the end of drafts to draft. You don't have to draft one of these guys high. You can focus on a different position because you do have that faith in your guy. So this is the thing. So this is a thing that I wish Yahoo would fix, but like defense is going like super early. I know that happens a lot, but like a lot of times once people go to auto draft, kickers and defenses start getting drafted like crazy early, and you're like, everybody's real life draft, that never happens.
I don't know. I've seen it. I've seen it happen a few times.
Okay, so my team right now is basically filled up besides kicker and defense. So this is going to be my first spot on the bench. My weakness is, I would say at this point, is probably Jarvis Landry as a number 2 receiver, but I don't view that as a weakness necessarily. I like Jarvis Landry this year. Like I said, he was the number 1 guy in he was the number 1 guy in Cleveland last year at receiver. But being that I have Mark Ingram, I am definitely taking J.K. Dobbins, because now I've locked up probably the best running game in football outside of the Niners, but from running back perspective, right? So now I go to receiver. I think I'm going to go with Cooks, because I think Cooks could end up being the number 1 guy there. I would say it's probably going to be Will Fuller, but it's going to be a toss-up between Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks there, I would say.
I got Will Fuller on my team, so you might as well go Cooks.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Will Fuller, I mean, they both have injury history, so whichever one's healthy that week, that's going to be the guy to own. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to deviate a little bit with my draft strategy. Normally, I wouldn't do this, but just the way it's falling, I'm going to reach a little bit and be looking at Latavius Murray. I don't usually like to handcuff too much, but with having Alvin Kamara on my team, I feel like Murray is too effective as a handcuff to have on my team.
So for me, that's not really – I mean, because it was the same thing I did with Dobbins. They run a lot of 2 running back sets on a very high-powered offense, and it's insurance. If Kamara goes down, your season's not over. That was your first pick, you know? Same with what I did with Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram and Dobbins are going to be splitting the ball quite a bit in Baltimore, and whoever's running the ball there, you want him as your running back. So I love doing it, especially when they serve a dual purpose, because there's going to be weeks that I will probably consider, if not starting, Dobbins, you know, on bye weeks and those kind of things, because they run the ball enough in Baltimore that it might work out the way where even Dobbins is going to be useful on a week-to-week basis. As you can see, the running backs are really thinning out, which is why I went that direction. Because for me, Dobbins and, say, Tony Pollard are about equal. But if I don't have Zeke, Tony Pollard doesn't really help me. You know, the guy that I want is the backup to the guy that could possibly get hurt, and then he steps in right off the bat, and I don't skip a beat from my fantasy perspective. So so we got King coming up next. What are you looking for at this point, King?
I think I'm going to show up my quarterback here, and if I'm being honest, Ryan's still there. If he's there in 5 picks, I'm going for him. If not, I'm looking down towards Danny Dimes.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting pick.
Danny Dimes. Why am I not?
Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes.
I mean, he could be good.
Daniel Jones? Oh, man.
Yeah. He flashed. He had flashes last year, so he could be real good. Could be one of those picks that everyone wished they would have went ahead and taken.
I just don't like his weapons. I just don't think he's got enough weapons to be real. I mean, like you said, he flashed. And that's another reason why I like Evan Ingram so much, is that he did flash. I'm not even saying that Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's got enough around him to be that good of a quarterback. And when they get in the red zone, if they can run this year, they are going to run in the red zone. So one of those guys I'm not in love with. Now, Matt Ryan and Tom Brady are still on the board, so I'm very comfortable with both of those guys, right? So, like, this is why you wait
Ryan's
on the
there, yeah. I was hoping Ryan was there, baby.
Yeah, I would have taken either one of them over Danny Dimes, but, you know, it is an interesting pick.
Yeah. Matt Ryan, I think Atlanta is going to be good this year. That's a great pick. This, again, why you wait at quarterback if you don't get one of those elite 2? I don't think you draft in the 6th round the Wilsons and the, you know, Watsons and those guys, because I don't think there's that big of a drop-off between Watson, Wilson, Murray, and Matt Ryan. In fact, Matt Ryan could outscore all of those guys this year. I think we would all be surprised if Matt Ryan outscored Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson this year. Because – and correct me if I'm wrong. What do you guys think about that?
No, that's a pretty good train of thought. The reason I like those other guys is because they all run too. So Matt Ryan's not going to get a lot of rushing yards. And those few yards can make a big difference over the course of the season. Mm. So I'm struggling here. I'm kind of wanting to draft Brady as a backup because I like Brady. But I'm just going to go ahead and throw in Marlon Mac. I still think he's the number 1 running back there. And the possibility of getting the number 1 running back in the 10th round is really too tempting.
The other thing you could do is you could look and see that the guy right here, and you can't see this, Campbell, because you don't have screen sharing, but the guy drafting at 3 has already got 2 quarterbacks, and the guy drafting at 1 and 2, myself and the other guy, we have Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. So it really works in that scenario. And again, you can't see it from your screen, but you would normally not draft a quarterback there, knowing that Brady's gonna come back to you. Like it's a clean kill. Oh shoot! I'm gonna go with Vaughn. No, and right here, it was a little bit of a panic pick, but it wasn't like a super panic pick because again, I like stockpiling running backs. There's just so many receivers I still like on the board. Marvin Jones, clean kill here. Again, talking about with and now I got both the Detroit Lions. I didn't do that on purpose, but talking about how undervalued I think the two Detroit Lion receivers are, because people don't realize that Matthew Stafford was on pace for 5,000 yards passing last year, and then he left, and it was just they had bums playing quarterback. So now I got the two best receivers on an offense that has the potential for 5,000 yards. So I feel really good about this. Matt Ryan has historically not been one who gets his tight ends involved. I don't think that the running game is going to be as good as I think, like they always try and build up how good their running game is. Detroit can never run. So they're going to pass, and I got the two best pass catchers on the roster, and I feel really good about that.
So I went ahead and picked up Brady right there.
So and again, like I was
fan, might as well grab it.
And that goes back to what I was saying now. I love what you did, Campbell, because you waited, and then I think Brady is the drop-off as far as quarterbacks go, where you go into the next year. Although somehow Ben Roethlisberger and Ryan Tannehill went ahead of Brady, so I don't know why those guys are going ahead of Brady. But I typically if I don't get the top two, I won't reach for Dak, Watson, Kyler Murray, or Wilson, but I will try to get two of the next grouping. And so you ended up getting Josh Allen, Tom Brady. You can really kind of balance out who's playing who and when, and really play the matchups there. And you can you could basically equate to a number one quarterback, like a top 5 quarterback based off of playing the matchups.
If I get lucky.
If
or
you get
it
lucky.
could really come back and haunt me too. Had it go both ways.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that though. I love both of those guys. So.
But that's also another reason why I like to get a guy like Lamar Jackson or get a guy like Mahomes, those two specifically, because I won't draft another quarterback and I don't have to waste any roster spot. It's also why I like to have one of the top 6 tight ends, because I won't draft another tight end and I'm just going to roll with that tight end. Now, if I draft Ertz, I might throw a dart at the end of the draft for Goddard, just because if Ertz gets hurt, Goddard's an immediate number 1 receiver, top 3 right off the bat. Like I wouldn't lose a step taking that hit. But if I don't get one of the top 6, I'm just waiting till it'll probably be my third to last pick. I don't even care at tight end. I'm going to be streaming them every single week anyway. So
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. If you don't get one of the top 3 tight ends, it doesn't really matter.
For me, it's 6.
It might matter on any given week, but over the course of the year, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, for me, it's the top 6 tight ends. So Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Zach Ertz is the top 3. I would say Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, and Evan Ingram are my next guys. A lot of people like Hunter Henry, but the change at quarterback, it's got me nervous. Like you said, Rob Gronkowski's been out of football for too long. You got Jared Cook. They added Emmanuel Sanders there to New Orleans Saints. Alvin Kamara is going to have a full year.
My guy just got drafted.
Who got drafted? Who got sniped?
My tight end got sniped. Noah Fant. Boom.
Right no.
That's a danger right there. So you don't really know what to do at that point. So now I'm struggling. So
my guy got a sniper too. This is the sniper round.
I'm going to go with reliable Jack Doyle. I don't feel good about that, though. I was not expecting the snipe. I'm not going to lie.
Jamison Crowder and Ruggs went. Those are like 2 guys I really like. I just think that they're both going to be the number 1 receivers on their respective teams. And number 1 receivers, even on bad teams, are good for fantasy. So I think they're going to just funnel as many receptions as they can to Henry Ruggs. He doesn't project that way coming out of college because he wasn't a reception hog in college. But he got drafted. He was the first receiver off the board in the actual NFL draft. John Gruden's going to want to utilize him fast. So I really think that was a great pick there. For some reason, we got Desean Jackson going after Jalen Reagor here. I'm taking Desean Jackson over Reagor. And I'm going to go ahead and take him right now, even though I'm not going to play the game anymore at this point. I'm drafting the guys I want. So Desean Jackson there. But I have no problem also taking Reagor just in case things don't work out with Desean Jackson. Obviously, he's got a major injury history. basically any game that Desean Jackson is not playing in, I'm going to feel very good about starting Jalen Reagor. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Jalen Reagor there too and handcuff my 2 receivers. Again, this is not a handcuff situation as much as I know Desean Jackson's good. I could also use Reagor if Alshon Jeffrey doesn't play, which there is rumors that he's going to start off on the PUP list. Therefore, I'd have the 2 best receivers on an offense that I think is going to be really, really good. I think Eagles are probably the most underrated team in football right now based off the fact that – let me rephrase that. Most underrated team that could actually win the Super Bowl. You know, I know you're going to say the Broncos because I don't think a lot of people see the Broncos coming. They forgot about how good that defense is, and now you put a bunch of receivers or a lot of weapons around Drew Lock. And I agree with you. I think they are probably the biggest sleeper team for people that's going to be a lot better than people realize. I just don't think that they've got – I don't think Lock's ready to win a Super Bowl just yet. Tell me why I'm
not
wrong.
going to be quite ready.
Okay.
But I'm going to go ahead and here's my sleeper pick, number 2, Lynn Bowden. He was a wide receiver / quarterback in college, and he's a running back on as far as what Yahoo's projecting him as. Big play guy. I think he's going to see a lot more touches than people think. And you get him the ball with space to move. He's really elusive, so it'll be interesting to see how they use him in Oakland.
So I'm looking at who just got drafted right after you. Zach Moss went. I'm going to be honest. I did not realize Zach Moss was still on the board. That's on me for playing fast and loose over here because I'm trying to show the best view for the audience of who's been drafted and what the teams currently look like. But, yeah, I would have taken Zach Moss over Jalen Reagor. Zach Moss, I think, is going to be almost in a 50-50 timeshare with Devin Singletary here, who Smitty took. And I think even if it starts off a little slow, he's basically the same version. I think he's a better version of Devin Singletary. So the fact that Devin Singletary had a good year towards the end of the year last year, they were still running a 50-50 split with Frank Gore for the most part, or like some version of that split. And I think Zach Moss actually projects to be the touchdown guy. He's a little bigger, a little stronger, a little bit better at breaking tackles, or he projects to be better at breaking tackles in the NFL. So I could really see him outscoring Devin Singletary, who went in the 3rd round for a running back that you're getting in the 13th round. And King, I'm going to tell you right now, I think you probably missed an opportunity. You should have drafted Zach Moss a little early there. So, at some point during your draft, I would imagine.
I agree.
You're like, I agree.
Talk about him, I was like, crap.
Yeah, that happens every draft too. That's not just this one because we're filming it.
Yeah.
Every single time I've ever drafted, I've always been like, that guy's still here.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I was trying. That's why I wanted to be the first pick. I wanted to be on the end essentially so that I could talk, and then my picks. I'm just talking real quick and doing my picks at the same time because this is actually the first time I've done a Yahoo version like this. So let me know in the comments if you guys like this way of doing it. I typically will just print this screen out, so I'll do a draft without you guys listening, and then or without the listeners listening, and then I'll just have this screen in the background. And then we're dissecting each pick. It's a little bit more neat and orderly, I think. But I figured, what the heck, let's give it a shot and try to do this kind of live action mode, you know?
Plus, this lets you talk about how your strategy changes depending on what other people are drafting, too. I love the way we're doing this. This is great. I mean, both ways are good, so you could really analyze those first 6-7 rounds. But,
yeah,
like your Moss example right there, it's like people see that all the time when they draft, so it's really good to see it on
there. Zach Moss is actually probably one of my favorite sleepers. There went another one, Boston Scott, because I think Boston Scott's going to end up being if the Eagles don't bring anybody back in. Doug Peterson has had a history of having running back committees. Like, there's really never been in his history a full workhorse running back. So he basically has a committee back all the time. Boston Scott showed last year that he's really good at this. So how many rounds have we got? This is second to last. So this is the round I'll take my defense. And then it doesn't matter because I'm drafting.
Yeah, I just grabbed Denver because.
All right. So I will tell you guys this. The defense that I'm targeting, and I know I've been talking a lot about the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm sorry, Cowboy Nation. Don't hate me. But Philly is set for having a just absolute dominant team. If you look at their offensive line, it's one of the best in the league, if not the best. I think Carson Wentz is way underrated as an actual football player or an actual quarterback, right? They didn't have Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson were hurt all last year, and so was the rest of their receiving core. So they didn't really have any receivers. Deshaun Jackson's back. They drafted Jalen Reagor, and they have Alshon Jeffrey back again. So, and then their defense, the front seven, the run stopping ability is always up at the top 3 or 4 in the league over the last 3 or 4 years, right? And now they went out and fixed their secondary. It's just a loaded roster that's going to be really hard to beat. And they have the best tight end combo in the league as well. So I just think that overall it's going to work out. Kicker, I've been waiting. Whoops. I'm going to take the Denver kicker just to snipe you. And
Nice.
yeah. Cowboy kicker's on a really good offense, so he's gone already, so I might as well just take your kicker. That's what everybody does. They draft the kicker from their team, and then they swap it around mid-season. I usually will just drop the kicker and use that as a roster spot, and then pick a kicker up on Sunday just to throw it in. I actually preferred leagues with no kicker. That's the best way to go about it. I don't even know why we talk about kickers, but anyways, overall,
Yeah. Like I would prefer not to draft a kicker at all, but just to keep a full team, I'm going to go ahead and grab a kicker.
all right. So for the sake of, for funsies, I'm going to throw this up there. This is the projections of what Yahoo says. Actually, King is finishing third right now, and he's about to draft another player. But this is bogus, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why this is bogus. It's because they basically take stats of like the cumulative stats, right? Well, if you only draft one quarterback, you already are not taking that extra stat there, right? I'm the only person in this league that only took one quarterback. And right now I'm sitting at 5. I'm assuming that's going to change. But they just basically added up. I don't really like it. It works a lot better in baseball when you're doing roto. But let's go to the actual draft. King, you still got a pick. So, Sean, tell me what you actually thought about your final product here. Now, and I'm showing your team here so the world can see.
Right. I really, really love this team. I got sniped on tight end, so that one kind of threw a wrench at me, and it's okay. But everyone else on the team, I really like.
Yeah, I actually like Jack Doyle.
Kicker, Jack Doyle's fine. That's what I call him reliable because he's gonna get some points. He's gonna get targeted.
No,
He's got a new quarterback there, and Philip Rivers is made a history of throwing to the tight end. So
Antonio Gates
and end up with Jack Doyle, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's because Philip Rivers has a history going to tight ends and relying on tight ends that I don't like Hunter Henry. Because he's one of those guys that anybody going off of Philip Rivers from tight end, if you're just not going to be as good with the next guy because the next guy is not going to target tight ends the way Philip Rivers did. He targeted it at basically the most elite rate, right? So yeah, no, I love that call. And again, if you don't get one of the top 6, I always just wait to the end because I think there's guys like Jack Doyle that go undrafted a lot of leagues. I like Mike Gesicki from Miami. Tyler Higbee's good, but Tyler Higbee's going typically about the 7th guy off the board or 8, 9, something like that. He's going a little higher. But yeah, I like these guys. And then so let's see what else with you're basically pretty loaded up. You drafted Marlon Mac. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, in the 10th round, I think he's a guy that can still be the number 1 running back there in Indy. I don't see any reason why he can't be. I know they drafted a running back and
Jonathan Taylor,
his replacement.
Yeah.
But Mac's done it. He's done it in the NFL. He's good at. He's got a nose for the end zone. So if I'm going to take a player in the 10th round that could be a starting running back, that's a win in my mind.
I will say I do not like Marlon Mack. I think he's way overrated. I think if I'm going to go like with the running backs that got replaced, I actually like Williams a little bit more because I think that he's going to have a bigger role in the offense than Mack. I know, but you can't deny that Frank Wright has a history of having those dual running backs, right? So I totally get the thought process there. I just think that's going to be Hines. I just feel like Mack, by the time you get to the playoffs, is basically just sitting on the sideline because I just think Jonathan Taylor is just significantly better. So a lot of people will go, well, Mac has some pretty good stats. He was also running behind the best offensive line for running the football in football, really. So I think that we're going to see just how good that offensive line is when you get a really talented running back in there. And it's going to be one of those things that they're not going to be able to take Jonathan Taylor off the field. I look here at King. Let's take a look. Like I said, I think you reached on Devin Singletary. I'm not a Devin Singletary guy. I actually got Devin Singletary lower than Mostert. I got him lower than Bell, Montgomery, and even Gurley, who you passed on all those guys, which, come on, you're from Atlanta. You passed on Todd Gurley?
Yeah, man. Them old man bones.
Yeah. So that was really the only one that I didn't like of yours. I don't mind going tight end early, where you went Kelsey. I went quarterback early, but with Kelsey, he really puts up wide receiver type numbers. So let's say I see you also drafted Gronk, right? Which I think if you could draft Kelsey, you shouldn't draft another tight end. That's just me. But if Gronk blows up, and it's Gronk that we know, you can now put Gronk at tight end, and Kelsey's still going to be a wide receiver-like player for you. He's going to put up wide receiver 1 numbers regardless. So, anyways, okay, my
part of that reason too was I was taking a look at my running backs and my flex position and the bye weeks. And picking up Gronk right there was kind of banking on the fact that I kind of screwed myself at running back. And if he's going to come back and play for one season, can't play for Brady, I feel like he's definitely going to be a guy that gets targets throughout the season. So,
yeah. Okay, so I don't want to drag this out too long. King, I know you have your own channel. If you want to do a plug for your channel real quick, and then I'll wrap us up, and we'll post this bad boy.
Hey, so my name is King Smith. I have a YouTube channel, Reclaim Your Throne with King Smith. That's the background there. If you want to follow me on YouTube, you can find that. And I also host a podcast, Today in My Life. You can find that on all podcasting platforms. Awesome.
We'll put a link in the description, and I'll let you put one in the comments too. That way they can get it to however they want to get it to. But that's it for today's show. Sean, King, seriously, thanks for being on. It sounded like a great show. You guys did a good job. If you guys got any questions, put them in the comments. We'll get to it. I know you guys monitor the comments just as much as I do a lot of times. And let us know who you think won. Obviously, I think I won. You guys can debate on what you guys think. And then, yeah. So until next time, see ya.